Chapter 26. Within 20 minutes of being out of our cells, we are ordered to lock in. People are asking the guard the reason for the lockdown. They are told the warden himself made the order because of the 3 separate issues of violence in 1 week. Locking us down is a way to punish the entire prison population. Stopping the violence is virtually impossible. The warden's hope is that caging people up will calm them down. They'll appreciate being out of the cell. This thought process is just wrong. To prisoners here at Big Sandy, being locked in, losing privileges, this is all part of doing business. In a shot caller's mind, if a situation calls for violence, damn with the consequences. With no real incentive to behave or to engage in rehabilitation, the violence will happen, and happen often. It never takes long for depression to set in. When I am alone with my thoughts, I often think of home, my family, my mother, my life before everything came crashing down. How long ago that was. These days now seem impossibly distant, the faintest recollections of a past life, a life that I no longer know. Thinking of that life, comparing it to this one, a feeling of sorrow wells up in my inner soul. What my life has become troubles me. I feel disgusted with myself for the choices I made. Like most men housed on this mountain, I fear that I might never leave this place. Each day is a mental struggle. The loneliness makes me tremble. Blow up like the World Trade Center. My theme song. By smoking crack, Booper rescinded his position in our enterprise. I went from bagging up 62s to big 8s to bigger things. Counting double-digit thousand stacks made me happy. I was changing the trajectory of my life. The fast life was being kind to me. Women, clothes, jewelry, cars. Being poor, struggling, those days were long gone. I had put them far behind me. What I never saw was the sinister dungeon was my future. No one ever thinks about this part when the money is coming in, when life is good. At least I didn't. Big Sandy is part of being a drug dealer. It is an undesirable aspect, but it's all part of the package deal. Had I tasted even a little bit of this place, I would have made a career change. I would have gone from drug dealer to whatever else is behind window number 2. This is it. This is what my life is now. Mr. Young is making coffee prison style. Like all things, this too is a process. A piece of fabric is cut from an old raggedy blanket Mr. Young keeps just for lockdowns. It is about 2 feet long, 8 inches wide. Once cut, he rolls the fabric up into what he calls a bun. After cutting a small strip of aluminum off an oatmeal pack, he connects each end to a AAA battery, creating a spark. He lights a small piece of toilet paper on fire. The toilet paper is his lighter. He uses it to light his bun on fire. Mr. Young places the bun on the side of our toilet. This allows air to shoot up the middle of it. A soda can is filled with water and a long string is tied to the pull tab so he can hold the can over the open flames. Smelling the burning can and smoke gives me an instant headache. It does nothing to the old man. My small cough makes Mr. Young look over his shoulder at me with a sly look. "Well, it ain't Starbucks, son, but it's all I got," he says, changing the sly look to a grin. With my eyes burning, I respond, "Do you think toxins get in that water from the can being burned?" "Chad, do you think I care much about toxins being in my water? This whole place is toxic to all of us," he responds succinctly before turning back to the flame. Any chance of trying to talk Mr. Young into ceasing his coffee making during lockdowns is out the door. He has to have his cup of joe, daily. 3 days of lockdown is our punishment for the violence. Not many men care. 72 hours is nothing but a vacation for staff and cons. Victor is out of the shoe for his knife offense. Droopy took his place for $500 in cash. For the cash, Droopy told the lieutenant that the shank belonged to him. When Vic was caught with the weapon, he had his transfer paperwork pending for a prison close to New York. A write-up would have halted the transfer. Getting close to home facilitates visits with family. The $500 is a small price to pay to visit with his loved ones. Everything in this prison is open to manipulation, even getting caught red-handed with a knife. Staff only care that the documentation says that someone is held responsible for the killing instruments that are found. Droopy's payday only costs him 12 days in the shoe. Droopy's payday allows him to get high for free after his small vacation. Things have been relatively calm for a few weeks since the last lockdown. But in a rare instance of solidarity, many of the convicts are coming together over the quality of food as of late. The portions have become smaller. Food is comfort in prison. It is the one thing that everyone is concerned about, myself included. No one likes to be hungry. When a prisoner is hungry, they become angry, agitated. With agitation comes problems. Just weeks ago, there was a self-serve hot bar, always stocked with rice, beans, and soup. Some men lived off rice and beans. That has vanished. The cold bar that once held salad, vegetables, and other small things to eat has also disappeared. According to the food administrator, the food budget was over $100,000 in the red. Slashing the extras was his way of fixing the problem. Most men in here have little to no money. With the food cuts, it means they will be going to bed hungry. What that means for the prison is anyone's guess. I suspect more empty stomachs will lead to an increase in robberies, which will in turn increase the violence. I go to sleep thinking of the repercussions that will come as a result of the declining food situation. Keeping my eye on my belongings is a top priority. Today I wake up to what will be one of the worst days I will ever see in prison. I do not realize it until months later, but it is the start to my end on this mountain. Although they do not reside in this unit, they are here. Adam with Dennis, and Ronnie behind them. Immediately I'm contemplating whether I violated any prison rules. I search my mind wondering if I told anyone how much I dislike Steve. I come up empty, but I still have a nervous feeling in my stomach. It's abnormal for all three of them to be in this unit. My eyes search for Frank. In my haste, I do not notice him just feet away. Like myself, he is watching them. Their eyes lock on us. They approach. My mouth is parched. Senses heightened as nervousness overcomes me. When they get closer, Adam sticks his hand out. "What's up, homeboy? Why you look so paranoid?" he asks. Given everything I have observed since coming here, I become leery if anything is out of tune, even a slight bit. Suspicious of people's real motives. I play things cool and shake Adam's hand. "What the hell are you talking about? Paranoid? I ain't paranoid." I laugh it off to mask the truth he saw on my mug. "What's up, though? You three aren't here for no reason." "Yeah, you're right. We need you and Frank to move to our unit, bro." "Why?" I ask, curious. "Some dudes got locked up in our unit. We don't want to lose any white cells with all these Mexicans coming here. We got empty cells we have to fill." Noticing my reluctance, Ronnie interjects. "Look, Adam is your homeboy. You can go in a cell with him. Frank can go in a cell with me. As soon as we can work it out, you and Frank can get a cell together." Ronnie's explanation does not add up, prompting me to respond, "I thought you said there were open cells now." "There were, but we put some dudes in them for now to hold them down. But if you guys don't move, they're going to make the white dudes with no cellmates move in together. And then we're going to lose white cells," Ronnie retorts. He sounds demanding, sarcasm floating off his tongue. He is angry that I would even challenge him, as if we are little kids, obliged to do what they say without objection. My mind is made up. I don't like Ronnie either. In reality, me and Frank are being used so that Adam and Ronnie can keep their cells. They want us to save them from having to move in with each other. I don't want to move. To me, living with the top dogs in the car is a recipe for disaster. The more people together from the car, the more potential for issues. Frank and I are as comfortable as you can be while in prison in our unit. Mr. Young is in my peripheral vision, shaking his head as if he's willing me to say no. Really, though, refusing really isn't an option. If we refuse, it will cause animosity. Against my better judgment, I lamely agreed to move to their housing unit. Saying no would have caused our ranking in the hierarchy of the car to tumble precipitously. The next time the car needed work put in, Frank and I would have been called on to be the missiles. My position in the car is maintained simply because I am from New York. The Irish descent helps as well. Those two things can only carry me so far. How far is up for debate. Frank's initial dislike for Steve is slowly fading. Steve's stories have begun to mesmerize him. He's falling into the snake's grasp. He is beginning to dance to Steve's every tune, a hypnotized cobra before an Indonesian man playing his instrument. The sad, empty feeling has come again. Moving always messes up my nerves. Not knowing what lies ahead does it to the best of men. Leaving Mr. Young bothers me as well. My head down, I go to my cell to pack my belongings. Making the best out of a bad situation is the only option I really have. I look up to see Mr. Young staring intently at me. What did they want? They want us to move downstairs so they don't lose white cells or some shit. I ain't moving downstairs with them son of a... I put my hand up to stop Mr. Young. Not you, me and Frank. Did I not tell you not to get involved with those clowns from the start? But you chose not to listen to the old man, right? Come on with this shit. Now is not the time, I answer angrily. Why don't you just tell him you was comfortable here? That you wasn't moving, boy. It don't work that way, Mr. Young. You know it don't. Bullshit. You got 40 years. Stand up to them, son of a bitches. Mr. Young points his finger at me. His voice rises. Then what? They punch my head off? If you would have listened to me from Jump Street, you wouldn't be in this position now. Now would you? I get angry in an instant. I stand up. I point my finger back at Mr. Young. You're an old man. Things work differently for younger guys in here. I am an asset to them dudes. I'm from New York. No way were they going to let me stay here and be on my own. If I refused the car, they might not have stabbed me, but they would have beat the shit out of me. Because you're old with no money, no one fucks with you. My problems are bigger than yours. He is shaking as he responds. He is like a father scolding an unruly child. Get your shit and get the hell out of here. Remember this, young man. I told you so. Don't forget that I told you so. Mr. Young leaves our cell with the slam of the door. Well, his cell now. Fucking prison. This is prison. This is where these dirty motherfuckers sent me for 40 years. In my heart, I know I just don't have 40 years in me. I know I don't. I just cannot do 40 years in here. Reluctantly, I move my things into Adam's cell. It looks like a cyclone has been through here. The comfortable feeling of living in a clean cell with the old man, I'm probably not going to have that again. Once again, Big Sandy teaches me small things matter. This new cell looks like a junkyard. Within minutes, I miss the shiny wax floors that Mr. Young was so meticulous about, the sparkling clean toilet and sink, and the small knickknacks. My new home is adorned with scuff marks on the wall because Adam's cell is a makeshift wrestling ring for the guys in the car. Prison-issued black boots are what caused the black scars on the off-white paint. Books are in disarray, clothing strewn throughout the cell, dried toothpaste on the mirror, hair in the sink from Adam's excessive brushing of his long, black hair. The living quarters look more like a teenager's room in his parents' basement than a maximum security federal prison cell. With an uneasy feeling in my new house, I commit to myself to keep my bed made and my property neatly tucked away in my assigned locker until I can escape this situation. Everything in prison has a price, even cells. A guy who lives alone, finding himself in debt, or desperate to get high will sell his cell for a price. If he finds another guy living alone that he can move in with, he will sell his cell and split the profit with the other guy. Cells go from $200 to $500. Real estate shopping is now a priority. In fact, looking around this cell once again, it's my first priority. But finding a cell to buy is not an easy task. You have to catch the right person at the right time. Both Frank and I make our rounds in the unit. We greet all the homeboys with fake smiles, at least I do. Frank is falling for Steve's manipulation little by little. Me, I'm going through the motions. I feel dead without being dead. Given my dislike for Steve, moving into this unit is like flirting with death. At least 20 guys in the car live in this unit. Most occupy cells upstairs in the back corner of the unit. If Steve called on them to attack, they would rip me apart like a pack of wolves. I'm going to have to be very careful with what I say, very careful with what I do. To say I feel trapped makes a mockery of an understatement. I am in prison inside a prison. There are some other white prisoners living in the unit with us. To my surprise, they are gang members. Imagine that, living under the same roof in close proximity to their number one hater. I know two of these men. Joe is a SAC gang member. SAC stands for Soldier of Aryan Culture. His cellmate is a young man named TJ, who was once a Hammerskin. Today, he is prospecting to be part of the Aryan Brotherhood, or brand. TJ does not know it now, but he is marching toward a somnolent fate, already sealed. He came to prison with what convicts would call a short sentence. He will never be a free man again. He will never leave prison. He will move up the ladder for his gang by killing another convict, and with this deliberate act, seal his own destiny. These gang members coexist with us inside this concrete jungle we inhabit for as long as Steve remains sensible. If he drops the hammer, or calls the shot, we would decimate our rivals. If the gang members ever have the hand that Steve has now, there would be no hesitation on their part. They would attack us. I'm perplexed. Why doesn't Steve make his move? Perplexed, but relieved as well. I really want to make it out of this place alive, if that is possible. The air crackles with the tension between us and them. Their only problem is, there are many more of us than them. They know they would be on the losing end if they made the wrong move. Nobody has to say this out loud, but I know that if the numbers change, things will get ugly quickly. They hate Steve as much as he hates them. Dennis lives in the back cell, 3 cells from our cell. Like Red, Dennis runs his own tattoo shop making good prison money. Similarly, he also has a penchant for heroin, which sucks up his profits, leaving his locker bare. No food, no necessities. Heroin in his veins like a fish in the sea, it chases away his misery, the loneliness that hits all men on this side of the razor wire like a cannon, direct and broadside. The picture is slowly being formed. I see Steve, Adam, Dennis, and Ronnie for what they are. Men who have formed a car that benefits them. This is the wheel of prison turning, devouring, depleting the men in the car for whatever resources they have to offer. Steve is like an amusement ride conductor at the helm, cranking the lever of evil. After 2 weeks in this unit, I can see things ever more clearly. To my dissatisfaction, the prison real estate market has not been kind to me. New white gang members have arrived on the bus. Our unit has been gifted 2 tattooed Aryan Brotherhood of Texas gang members. Steve, always the weird, paranoid man, is not happy about the new arrivals. Not happy they live amongst us. His propaganda machine is running full throttle. He fills the soldiers' heads with fear, warning all of us, daily, to keep our eyes and ears open. Steve instructs us to keep our knives on us at all times. Living in this unit has spiked my stress levels on account of the fear of what might happen to me or what I might have to do to sustain my own life. Judges, prosecutors, Congress, no one knows what is really going on in here. If they did, maybe someone would shut this place down, start over, culture change. All manner of problems and death and violence find people in here. People who aren't looking for any of it. One of the 3 are always knocking at my door no matter how much I want to avoid them. I am afraid to answer the door, but the way time works, I know it is inevitable. This is a for sure thing. That peaceful cell with Mr. Young is long gone and dearly missed. Am I dreaming? Boom, boom, boom. Banging, echoing in my mind. It reverberates off the metal bed frame. There it is again. Boom, boom, boom. My sleep is interrupted. The loud banging is at my door. Wiping my eyes, I focus on my watch. It is 4:30 p.m. Both of us fell asleep during the 4 p.m. count. I look to the cell door's window to see a face staring into our darkened room. Adam, I need you to turn the light on for me, comes the voice at the door. What? What's the problem now? Adam hollers back while still laying in his bunk. I need the light on. I need to talk to you. Adam, it's the lieutenant, I say after making out his white shirt and the metal bars on his collar. Are you fucking kidding me? Adam yells at the door. Groggy, he stands up, makes his way to the light and flicks on the switch. What? He shouts, spreading his arms out. What the fuck do you want? Trying to be polite, the lieutenant says, We need you and your cellmate to cuff up for us. What the fuck for, jerk off? Adam yells back. Adam explodes like the 4th of July. Looking at me, he says, There's a bunch of asshole cops out here. Adam, the warden wants us to lock you, Steve, Dennis, and Ronnie up for a few days. This ain't my call. I'm just doing my job. Steve yells out through the crack in his door. Adam, fuck them. We're going hard. Get the team. Go get your goon squad. Steve has given the sacred order to fight back against the staff, setting Adam off like a madman out of control. Adam unleashes a barrage of threats, promises, and curses at the cop standing on the other side of the door. Looking at me, he raises his eyebrows. Chad, you ready to go hard? Man, it's whatever, I respond. Not because it's how I really feel, but it's the only answer. The last thing I want to do is engage in a physical altercation with the guards. It is the lesser of the 2 evils, though. The cops won't stab me. The car will. Again, I'm damned if I do and damned if I don't. Chad, if they come in here, I'm stabbing them. This is not what I signed up for. My fake confidence wavers. Now I'm hoping that somehow someone can talk these guys down before things get any further out of control. Someone has to fold their hand. If Steve refuses, me and Adam are getting gassed with a super soaker filled with mace. The captain is at Steve's door explaining that this is over different cars taking ownership of cells. He says the warden is only locking them up for a few days along with some other shot callers from various groups. The warden wants to talk to the prison bosses of the cars. Other prisoners are riled up now, kicking their cell doors, egging on the disturbance. No one can get a word in, causing staff to fold. In frustration, they leave the unit. Once they're gone, the noise diminishes. Steve calls to Adam. Listen, I think we should go ahead. Go over there so we don't lose the cells. If they team us, they won't let us out of the hole. The captain said a couple of days before the warden talks to us, so whatever you want to do, you make the call. Me and Chad are ready for whatever, Adam yells back. All right, this is what we will do. Leave our cellies here to hold the cells down. If that is the agreement, we leave peacefully. If not, we go full throttle. To my relief, it looks like this thing is going to end peacefully. I hope. Adam looks at me with a serious face and instructs me to get all the guys together as soon as the doors are unlocked and let them know to be on point. He also tells me that we have to stay strapped with weapons. Adam speculates that the gang members might make a move on us now that the top guys will be in the shoe. The homemade blind goes up on our window so no one can see into our cave. Adam shows me a fake shelf he has in his locker. I knew it was there, just never took a look for myself. He pries open the shelf, exposing a 6-inch gap that reveals his secret stash. Inside, 7 bone crushers are tucked away from prying eyes. Listen, Chad, don't show no one this spot or tell anyone about it. Make sure all the brothers have a weapon. Do not sleep on these gang dudes. If they get out of line, kill them, because they will kill you, bro. All right, man, I got you. I'll make sure everyone is armed, I say, nodding in agreement. Nervousness makes my stomach quiver. Confused and scared, I realize that prison is about to get real. Moving to this unit placed me in a position where I'm already reaping the consequences I feared. Consequences I never wanted to be manifested. These instruments of destruction have been in this cell since my arrival. I am amazed at the hiding spot. It is fashioned from a shelf ripped out of another locker that fits perfectly over the top of Adam's bottom shelf. 2 other guys in the unit know about the hiding spot, Chad. Don't trip. Both are trustworthy. I take the trustworthy comment with a grain of salt. From my own experiences, no one is trustworthy in prison. Being in this cell with this cache of weapons bothers me. The last thing I want to do is be caught with this steel. I try to avoid problems. My appeal is still pending. Instead, I'm tossed into a fire. I pray I don't get burned. The blind comes off the window when the cops return with Miss L, the associate warden. She's attractive for an older woman. She knows how to deal with violent, angry men. Miss L has a reputation for being respectful as well as honest. She promises Steve that if he comes out peacefully, no one will be in the shoe longer than a week. After some jockeying and compromising in a lame effort to save face, Steve sticks his skinny arms through the slot and cuffs up. He is the first to be let out. After the king exits, his political cabinet follows. Adam, Dennis, and Ronnie are all taken to the shoe. The car is left with no leadership. Once the doors are unlocked, we are summoned into Steve's room by his cellmate Jimmy. Steve has left him a game plan for the car. We are all told to stay in groups of 3, everyone armed with a weapon. Also, no one can get drunk or high while our leaders are away. The men seem jittery, creating their own tension. I try to stay calm. Staying calm allows me to think clearly. It allows me to be aware of those around me. The younger guys in the car want to provoke an issue with the white gang members. They believe conquering them would make Steve proud. I voice my opinion. Thinking rationally without provoking a physical altercation is in all of our best interest, I tell the misfits. Our main goal is to make sure all 4 men make it out of the hole. If we provoke an issue, this will not happen, and it will piss Steve off. The misguided agree. Everyone is now armed with the steel pipe or knife. We still have the numbers in our favor. There are some heavy hitters among our ranks. It would be a mistake for the gang members to move on us. The lions reign supreme. They are hyenas. They despise this reality, but they do not allow ignorance to overcome their intelligence. While gang members in federal prison are used to asserting their power over every other white prisoner in these confines, the independent movement has stifled their control. I had a false misconception about white gang members before entering these doors. I thought they were about their race, about lifting up their own, living righteously. I was wrong. They pilfer, extort, and rob their own for the most part, simply to get high. Steve is doing the same thing, just not as extreme. He says he stands against the gang members, yet he commits oppression through manipulation. Fear-mongering is his preferred tool. That's what he uses to achieve his goals. My first order of personal business is to clean the cell. Adam's absence allows me to remove the scuff marks. Walls, floors, and the mirror are cleaned. The toilet sparkles like Mr. Young's. When the cell locks, I can lay back comfortable. Sucking in the alone time relieves some pressure. I am, in my solitude, finding some moments of contaminated peace. I slide a bone crusher under my pillow. My first night alone in Big Sandy makes me giddy in an absurd way. Chapter 27. 6 days later, Steve, Adam and Dennis are back without Ronnie Tough Guy Wilson. When the warden went to talk to Ronnie, he was belligerent. He told the warden to go screw his mother. To celebrate their return, Adam was cooking us a meal: rice, summer sausage, pepperoni, refried beans with cold sodas. Because of his generosity, we skipped the mess hall and gathered in Steve's cell for a small meeting among the top convicts in the car. A meeting of some sort is scheduled with the warden, Steve, Adam, and the same captain who told me to get a knife. The Federal Bureau of Prisons has been shipping Serranos to Big Sandy by the busload. There have been issues with cells, leaving the Hispanic gang members with no cells to call their own. The aim of this meeting is to have the cars relinquish a cell or two in each unit. If the shot callers refuse, the warden will simply lock the bosses up and ship them to new prisons. Steve promises that if the warden gets out of line, he's going to commit some sort of violence. It goes in one ear, out the other. False bravado to make the soldiers think Steve is their prison god. When things got real a few days ago, he cuffed up and took the easy way out. At the meeting, he will take the same course of action, I am sure. Adam's decisions are more rash, void of any thoughtful calculation or consideration of consequences. Anything is possible with Adam. Living in a cell with Adam is dangerous for me, but it's Big Sandy. Everything is dangerous here. The morning comes and goes with no trouble. As I anticipated, Steve is nothing more than talk. I'm getting the sense that the gang members think Steve is phony as well. Watching my own back is my priority. I can no longer count on Frank. He is dancing the fiddler's dance to Steve's every tune. Leo, a new Boston guy, has arrived with troubles from his past. Leo was half black, half white, with the word skinhead tattooed on his head. He is running with our car, which, like most things here, confuses me. Upon his arrival, he spotted a black Boston guy that he once had beef with back in the county jail. Leo wants to book the guy, stab him. Because of his old beef, we are summoned to the yard to hold Leo down. Steve has embraced Leo as a Boston brother given his defection from gang life. Given how bright the sun shines, I lift my sunglasses to make sure what I'm seeing is real. Leo, knife in hand, is chasing the black prisoner through the yard. If I can so easily see this, I wonder how the cops cannot. Maybe they don't want to see it, like a lot of things that get ignored here. The black kid is running like a wild jackrabbit. He zigzags, trying to get away from Leo. The kid's offenses happened 4 years ago. He told Leo to go fuck himself and his white mother. Both men were in the shoe, separated by steel doors. Leo feels this infraction deserves a good stabbing. No thought goes into what the repercussions will be for the whites if he stabs a black convict. Standing in the middle of the yard, unarmed, I have no clue what will happen if Leo catches his target. But I am ready to protect myself if I have to. Except for a few of us, Leo and the jackrabbit, no one seems to know what is going on. Why the jackrabbit has not looked to his people for refuge bewilders me. Steve intervenes. He calls Leo over to our circle. It is obvious he cannot catch the young jackrabbit. Steve explains that this whole thing is foolish. Steve has picked up some intelligence somewhere. This surprises me. He proposes a solution whereby the two of them approach the black Boston shot caller to set up a one-on-one duel. Leo insists on a knife fight. I get the feeling that Leo does not want to settle his dispute with old-fashioned fist-to-cuffs. Rumor is he got knocked out at USP Lee by a country boy named Kuhn, which resulted in his transfer here. His protest triggered Adam's anger. In another thoughtless decision, Adam tells me and Frank that if Leo does not listen, he is going to kill him. Armed with his bone crusher, I know Adam is not faking. He will do exactly what he has promised without so much as blinking an eye. Leo finally realizes that knuckling up is his only real option if the blacks will agree. The jackrabbit's name is Anthony. He's not looking for a fight, but his shot caller insists he has to square off. The two combatants meet in the middle of the yard where wild punches between the two men are exchanged. More misses than connections before the PA system squawks to life. The instructions I have come accustomed to blare from the speakers. Instinctively, I go to the ground on one knee. The first of the two gunshot blasts echoes off the concrete. Warning shots. Within minutes of the first punch, both cons are tackled to the ground, cuffed, and led off to the shoe. No one leaves this fight victorious on the judge's cards. Neither of the combatants were good with their hands. The House of Hard Knocks has a lot of men who do not know how to fight with their bare knuckles. With little to no skills, the same men have no reservation about stabbing others. No one wants to be on the losing end of a prison fight. Staking someone with steel is the equalizer. Weapons give cons confidence here at Big Sandy. Not much of a fighter, Leo wanted this to be a knife fight. After watching the carnival boxing contest, I know why that was his first choice. Living conditions with Adam have improved dramatically. I have learnt the skill of dealing with him. There is a mutual respect being formed between him and I. Adam is not half as bad as I thought, although I now know that he is slightly crazy. Like most of us, Adam came in young with a severe sentence. He has a 14-year sentence in the federal system, with another 20-year term in New York when his federal sentence is complete. Sadly, some people break under the pressure of sentences as draconian as these. Living with Adam, it is clear, sadly, again, that he has given up on life outside of prison. Prison is his life. It is all that matters. Not long after the Leo incident, we ended up with a new guy from Texas who wants to be in our car. Preston came from another prison, and like us, he despises the white gang members. In only a few weeks, Adam and Preston form a close friendship. Both prisoners like getting drunk. They have also been indulging in heroin, the forbidden fruit. Preston has no bunkmate, so when the two get a batch of wine done, Adam sleeps over at Preston's house. They drink, argue, and wrestle all night long, as if they are teenagers all over again. Sleepovers in prison. Sometimes I have no idea where I am. Hanging out with Preston has precipitated Adam's downward spiral. Drinking coupled with heroin use has become part of his daily calendar. It consumes his lonely existence. It's his way of escaping the demons that haunt us, always reminding us that this is our home. We are not here just for a year or two. We are here for the best parts of our life, maybe forever. As his life spirals out of control, my focus remains on my own legal appeal. Adam lost all his appeals long ago. As he has told me many times, once I lose all my legal remedies, I will accept my fate. He does not know what I know. Losing is not an option for me. I will never stop fighting for my freedom. The car was growing like a well-fed baby. What once began as a Boston, New York car has slowly morphed into an all-around white independent car as Steve is taking in more members from all over the United States. Strength comes in numbers. Steve likes strength. One of his newest members is Chuck from North Carolina. With Adam's help, Steve is laying a scam down on Chuck. Steve instructs Chuck to have his family send $400 to another prisoner's family, ostensibly to purchase heroin. The way Chuck thinks it works is Chuck will get 20 individual papers of heroin that he can sell at 5 prison books of stamps apiece. In reality, Steve is getting 1 gram of heroin for Chuck's money. With 1 gram, he makes 45 papers, gives Chuck his 20, and pockets the rest. Their main goal is to hook their fish, get him to develop a habit of his own, so they can slowly milk him for everything he has. It's easy to despise this false brotherhood, the more it becomes evident that the top dogs are doing exactly what they say the gang members are doing. I am being led by men who scam their own people. Everyone in the car is disposable but Steve, even Adam. No matter your position, when Steve decides to throw you into the ocean with the sharks, he will. No matter what United States penitentiary you are in, every car operates this way. Only the strong survive. Sometimes even the strong get chewed up, swallowed, and regurgitated. Trying to make it out of prison is a 24-hour, 7-day-a-week job. Not only must you be physically strong, you need mental strength beyond comprehension. You have to be intelligent enough to decipher everything that is going on in the environment. If you don't possess these skills, at some point you become shark bait. Simple. The white gang members have been building courage fueled by anger. The Aryan Resistance Militia, ARM, gang leaders have called for a meeting with Steve and Adam. We have over 100 men from our car stationed on the yard, at the ready if anything goes wrong. The men are doing what we call politicking. To me, it's more like bickering. Deep inside, I'm hoping that something breaks out between us and the ARM guys. If it does, that's my ticket out of here, my chance for a new start somewhere else. It would be a blessing to get away from Steve. I have 2 bocce balls at my feet that I won't hesitate to throw. Perhaps I can hit Steve and claim it was an accident. The thought makes me the only man smiling on the yard. AJ, the leader of ARM, has voiced his displeasure with the fact that Steve is taking all the white independents into his fold as soon as they arrive. In a respectful way, he claims we are taking in lames and giving them protection. Lames are guys who are nobodies, guys who under normal circumstances would be scared of their own shadow. Lacking backup, the lames are perfect prey for gangs to steal from, to oppress. They want the lames swimming alone in these rough waters with the piranhas. Steve stands strong, courage unwavering with our support behind him. Forcefully, he makes it clear that this is our yard, that we're going to do what we want, when we want. Always ready for violence, Adam makes it known that the ball is in their court. All they have to do is make a move. I am in earshot. I hear the exchanges. My guess is ARM came to this meeting ready to spark a clash. Once again, our members have stolen the day. Outmaneuvered and overwhelmed, they have tucked their tails, swallowed their pride, forced to abandon whatever plan they might have had. For a fleeting moment, I think about chucking one of these bocce balls at a gang leader to set off a melee. I am disappointed nothing physically transpired. This was my one-way ticket out of humanity's sick joke. USP Big Sandy. I am here with my pent-up anger and my clenched fist. The longer he waits to pull the trigger, the more danger Steve puts us all in. If the numbers turn, unlike us, the gang members will not hesitate to inflict punishment. They may even get tired of being backed into a corner with only one way out. They might not wait to get their numbers up. They might decide instead that the only way to win is to attack 2 or 3 of us when we are separated from the group. As much as I hate Steve, my hatred for white gangs is stronger. It is a learned behavior that has been embedded in me. Prison has finally taken its toll on me. I too am broken. Not all the way, but close. The cold-heartedness of this life is biting at my soul. Slowly I calcify. Like others, I want to lash out, to hurt the convicts who really want to hurt me. Will their blood bring me peace? These hostile thoughts are born, bred in prison. For some men, they grow slowly, faster for others. Over time, prison will destroy a person morally, mentally, and emotionally. I am experiencing this very thing. I am screaming out from the inside. It's hard for me to fathom how people with grotesque sentences, no family, and nothing to look forward to continue to live day by day in this prison life. Some commit suicide to escape the torment. Others push forward, somehow, some way. Maybe Adam is right. If I lose my appeals, I might accept prison as my fate. But accepting prison will be the day that I transform into an uncompromising beast. Losing your appeals is the end of the road. Once that is lost, there is nothing left to lose. At that point, I will have lost everything making prison my forever home. Silently, I pray I never cross that road. The night sky is moving in as we walk back into the building. I look up at the clouds, the same ones from a few months ago, before I step into the doorway. He is darker this time, no longer laughing at me. He chuckles instead. I scowl back and throw 2 middle fingers toward the clouds, prompting Adam to laugh. "What the hell are you doing, Chad?" Adam asks. "Man, just saying goodnight to the man," I reply. Adam has no idea about the guy in the clouds. Only I can see him.